Hello, my name is Andrew Thake. I'm a divisional director with Resourcing Tomorrow. Delighted to be joined today by Gina Jardine, who's the chair of Women in Mining. Delighted to have you with us today, Gina.
Oh, thanks, Andrew. Delighted to be here.
Gina, can you share examples of successful initiatives or partnerships that Women in Mining have done that have led to measurable change for women in mining?
Yeah, look, Andrew, there's many, but perhaps I can call out a couple for our listeners here. So I think first and foremost, our scholarships and our structured mentoring initiatives have direct impact on supporting women in early stages of their mining careers and helping them build out confidence and networks and pathways into future leadership roles. Another area that we focus on is doing work with our industry partners like yourselves. So we work with mining companies and professional services firms and event partners like Resourcing Tomorrow to elevate visibility for women in the industry and creating those sponsorship opportunities that can translate into career advancement. I think that one of the largest focus areas that we've got, Andrew, really is our community building area. And that's through our networking events and our regional chapters. We develop the networks and support base for women in mining. It's a safe space where women and their allies can connect and share stories and develop the important connections that they need to grow within our industry. So there's a couple that could give you a bit of a flavour of what we do, but there's many, many more that we have.
With the global mood on DE&I feeling more fragile, particularly in light of political shifts like President Trump's policies that risk rolling back progress, how do you see the role of organisations such as Women in Mining in keeping gender equity on the agenda?
Yeah, look, I think the first place, Andrew, is really about being that voice for progress. Excuse me. So at times when political shifts risk rolling back DE&I, organisations like Women in Mining provide that independent and consistent voice. And consistency is really important. It helps us kind of weather the storm. We make sure that gender equity doesn't get lost in the noise, and we need to reinforce that inclusion drives both performance and culture. It's also about that community and allyship. Progress does not happen in isolation. And Women UK creates spaces where women and men and their allies can connect and support one another to amplify that impact. The collective voice is much harder to ignore, even in the most fragile global context. And then I think the other area is really anchoring it in purpose. Women UK exists to remind the industry that gender equality isn't a side issue, that it's absolutely fundamental to business resilience, to reputation, and the ability to attract and retain talent. And keeping that purpose front and centre ensures the industry stays future fit. We need to weather this storm. The gender issue is here to stay, and we will absolutely be here as advocates for gender.
With workforce demographics shifting, how is the mining industry attracting and retaining the next generation of talent?
Yeah, look, purpose and sustainability absolutely matter to that next generation. The next generation want to work for companies that are serious about ESG, climate action, and community impact. And mining firms that put purpose at the heart of their story and not just profits are absolutely winning attention and the talent of the future. Modern careers are not just jobs. Younger talent is attracted by the opportunities to want to work with technology, want to develop new skills. Development is one of the top asks of talent as they come into any organisation. They want to be able to see how they can be developed and what those clear career paths are. And so companies that are investing in digital innovation and training and leadership development are more likely to retain them. And then the other area is really around culture and inclusion. They're absolutely non-negotiable for the younger talent entering the workforce. They're looking for flexible working where possible. They're looking for safe and supportive environments, and they want to see visible progress on diversity and inclusion. They want to see that making a big difference in the organisation. So a modern workplace is where a culture is where it's going to keep people in the industry. You can't afford to have an environment that doesn't have the right culture and where inclusion is not at the centre of what an industry and an organisation is thinking about.
I always like asking our speakers at Resourcing Tomorrow this question. What is the most influential book that you have read and why?
You're going to have to do that again.
I'll go to it again. Sorry.
Again.
Okay.
Okay, yep.
Derek. Okay. I always like asking our speakers at Resourcing Tomorrow this question. What's the most influential book you've read and why?
Can I have two? Because
You can
there's
have
been
two.
two books that have actually really influenced me. The first one is Toot Your Own Horn by Jennifer Kahnweiler, and the second one is Quiet by Susan Cain. And they come at personal impact from very different angles. Toot Your Own Horn is about the importance of self-advocacy and learning how to share your achievements with confidence, which is so important for women in male-dominated industries like mining. Quiet, on the other hand, celebrates the power of introverts and the idea that influence doesn't always come from being the loudest voice in the room. So I love the contrast. One is encouraging us to step up and be seen, while the other reminds us that listening and thoughtful presence can just be as powerful. And together, I think they shape how I think about leadership, about their visibility and inclusion.
And at Resourcing Tomorrow, we'll have 150 students coming along as part of our Next Generation program. This is a two-part question. What advice would you give to a smart-driven college student about to enter the real world of mining? And what advice should they ignore?
Yeah, look, my advice is to stay curious and build relationships and don't worry about having it all mapped out. I mean, I never had a career plan. I just jumped at new challenges and opportunities and it served me really well. I think the best advice that I can give someone is say yes, take the opportunity that is provided to you and discover and see where it takes you. The advice to ignore is that there really isn't one right career path or one perfect plan. Careers aren't linear, and that's where the real growth happens. Take the opportunity and see where it goes. I mean, my career plan was simple. It was say yes now and figure it out later, and it worked.
Thank you very much for your time, Gina. We look forward to seeing you at Resourcing Tomorrow.
Great, thanks.